Hi, my name is Peter from Tilret Web Design. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to add to your website text that follows a path or a shape. As an added bonus, I'm going to show you how to animate that text along the path. This is a really cool effect that can add some extra flair to your website, and it doesn't require any extra software. So with that introduction, let's get started.
As mentioned, we're going to do this without any special software. We're going to manually code it into our SVG, Scalable Vector Graphics. So to do this, we'll go over to the CodePen app at codepen.io and we will type into the HTML panel. We'll start with SVG tag, give it a view box of 0, 0, 100, and 100. Then we'll put a path in and give that an ID of curve, in which we will refer to later. Now, paths are the basis for all shapes in scalable vector graphics, and they are defined using these D attributes. So what I'm putting in now are some values for some Bezier curves. I won't give the details right now. It's better covered in the MDN docs, and I will leave a link to that page at the top of this video. But basically, we are putting some curves in there and they appear on the screen over to the right like this. Now you'll see they show up like these little hills. That's because they actually get filled. So to make them just the lines, we want to put fill equals none. Now we can't see anything because we have that dark background, so we'll switch it over to stroke equals white. And there is the path that we will put our text on. So we'll close that up. And then we can start entering our text element. We type in text, and right now we'll style it just a little bit by giving it a fill of yellow. And then we can give it a font size of 4, and that was arrived through trial and error, but just do whatever you think fits well. And then we open up a text path, and that indicates that we're going to put the text along that path that we made. So what we do that is by using this href referring back to our curve. So we put text path, refer to the curve, and then we can start typing in the text that we want. So let's just put something in like this text will follow a curved path, exclamation point. And there it is. I mean, it's just that simple. You see our text there, and it is taking that same shape as that path we put in. So let's just get ready to style some additional things. We'll close up our other tags, close up that text path, the text, and the SVG. Now, it's there, but notice it's not the most beautiful thing. It's crunched up against the left side there. So one way to fix that is just going up to the text element again and adding the attribute X and just shifting it over a bit. That means the X axis. We put X equals 10, and you see that little shift to the right. You can also do any number, any up to 100. X equals 50, and that kind of knocks it over to the middle. Another attribute that I wanted to show while we are showing this X shift is one called text anchor. And what that means is you can anchor your text in a certain position, either led by the start of the sentence, the end, or the middle. So here's an example. It's already set to the start, so it doesn't make any move. But notice when I switch it over to end, the end is now at that 50% point, that X equals 50. And then if we put it in the middle, it shifts right into the middle like that. And it's just that easy. Now there is another way to do that, so let me just get rid of this. And then we next go not directly under the text, but we have to be within the text path element between those opening and closing tags. And we're going to use the attribute called start offset. And that just means where that text starts. And again, we can put in 10, and it does that same thing. It shifts our sentence over to the right. You can do 50, and it's 50%. So basically, it's the same way to do things. Just know where you have to do those. You know, the first one can be in the text, but the second one has to be part of the text path. Now another interesting attribute you can change is the letter spacing. So that's under the text element. We'll put letter spacing. And I did some trial and error here. I just tried 2, and that kind of made it stretch out to fill our whole path. The 2 gave a good value. We have to set it back to show what I'm talking about. Put that start offset back to 10. But you can see it takes up the whole path. So you've got all these little tricks to move things around. You can also make the path disappear. If you just want to see the text, you can make stroke equals transparent. Or you can keep that as white, but change the opacity using the stroke opacity attribute. Here we'll put the value of 0.2, and you see this light gray. And then if you want to do some additional types of designs or make it kind of look a little different, you can adjust the stroke dash array. And basically that's similar to like border equals dotted. It defines the dot and dash patterns of your lines. So here we're just putting 1. It's 1 dash and 1 space. And that's what that looks like. And then to make it even look a little fancier, we can add that to a 4, but it really stands out when you change this next attribute called stroke width. And let's put a value like 5, and you'll see how those dashes get wider. So next, let's get rid of that and get rid of our start offset and shift that to a stroke width of 10. And that's a pretty cool looking effect. You've got our path starting again, and it kind of looks like a crosswalk or something. And then again, we can change the text anchor to the end, and what that will do is shift it back to the left, which puts us in position to do some animations now. So we'll go under there, and under the text tag we'll put animate, and let's animate that first attribute that I showed, the X. So animate attribute name X, and then we assign some things to that animation. Begin time we'll put as a 0. It'll start immediately. We'll give it a duration of 5 seconds, and then there's a number of ways to do the next thing, but this is a simple animation we're going to start out with. So all we have to do is put 2 where we want to go to, and we could put a 100%, but we want the sentence to flow all the way out the other side, so we had to bump that up to 150, which isn't quite making it all the way, so maybe we'll even put that up a little higher to 180. And when you do that, you can see this pretty cool animation. It's coming in from the left side, following the path, and then going out the right side. So that is a cool little trick, and we can do some more with that. Let's comment this one out for now. And then we want to show, let's show how a similar animation is done using that start offset attribute. Again, remember we do that under the text path within the opening and closing of the text path. And in this case, it's a similar type thing. We'll have our start offset. We'll beginning at 0, have a duration of 5, and we'll go to the 180. So it's starting at 0, and remember we're using our text anchor at the end, so our text is off to the side, and then it's going and flowing off to the right. So changing that X or changing that start offset kind of has that same effect. But now let me copy a lot of that and paste it down here and show you our next attribute that we can change and the cool effect that gives. So we'll change that X to our letter spacing. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to put our sentence back up against that left side. We're going to start with that regular letter spacing, and then we're going to increase it. That trial and error showed that 2 makes it spread out pretty well. In this case, we'll do that from and to. So we begin at 0 seconds, just give it a 5-second duration from 0 to 2. And then I forgot to mention that I put this repeat count equals indefinite to make it keep repeating itself. So there you go. It starts and it expands, and then it reaches the end through that letter spacing. Now that's kind of boring. What would be a little cooler is to make it do like this yo-yo thing, go back and forth to expand and then contract again. So to do that, let's, instead of using the from and to, what we have to do is change those over to values. So let me just delete those, and we put in our values, and we're going to have the three things: where it starts, where it reaches, and then where it goes back to. So in this case, we'll have it 0, go out to a spacing of 2, and then come back to 0. And when you use values like that, the next thing you have to add is the key times. So 0 is a start, and then the halfway point is 0.5, and then the end is the value 1, all separated by the semicolons. But now you see what happens. It goes out. We'll make it a little faster so we can see it more quickly. But there it goes. The letters expand, hit the end, and then come back. So that's a cool little trick. And you can even take this to an extreme. You can like really crush the numbers together at the beginning and then have them spring out. But you know how to do that when you want to play around whenever you're ready to do. So let's move on to our next thing, and that is changing the attributes of the path itself, changing the stroke dash array. Now let me explain what that is exactly. I said stroke dash array is the picture of dots and dashes. But if we put that to the full size of the line, it's all one big dash. So you saw I put it at 140, that covers it all. I moved it back to 90. You can see it didn't quite cover it all. Now this is kind of by eyeball. You could really measure this by JavaScript. Right now we're kind of just feeling it out by eye, and we see that 140 gives us the full thing. And then another is the stroke dash offset, and that's how much it's offset. So if we set that same value, that pushes it to the left. So you've got the full one single long dash, but it's all pushed to the left. And what's interesting is we can now animate that, and that is the basis for some of these line drawings you may see from time to time. So let me just copy some of this so I don't have to keep retyping. We'll put our animate, attribute name, stroke dash offset, and again we'll have a begin value. Let's just start that at 0, make a duration 5. We can adjust that if it doesn't look good. And then our to value, remember we're pushing it all the way to the left. If we put our to back to 0, that will give us our full thing. And then just let's put our repeat count at indefinite. And that should do it. Now in this case I have put this all in the wrong place. It really works when you put it up there under the path element. I'm going to show you something else down here, but right now let's just cut that and move it up under the path, and then what I want to show you will work. And there it is. And now you see it's coming from nothing, and everything is moving back into where it was, like sliding into view. And that is our animation using the stroke dash array and stroke dash offset. And that is a cool effect that you can use with line drawings and so on. Now we can combine this. You know, where's the text? We have to bring the text in on this. So right now, remember, we have our text anchor equals end. So our text is off to the left. But let's animate it. So we'll put our attribute name. We will switch that over to the start offset. And then we can again begin at 0, have that duration as 5, and we'll go from. It's already on the left, so we can just put from to. It's not essentially from 0. It's not essential that we do that, but we've put it in there. And then to, we will make that the value of, let's make it try the 140 and see how that works, and then just put in that repeat count of indefinite so we can watch it happen over and over again. And there, everything should be in place now, so let's see what we've got. And there it is. You see our text coming, and it's going right within that curve. So that is cool. Our timing's the same, so it's kind of flowing along with it. Now, all we have to do to make it look even cooler is change that text anchor attribute. We'll just change that from end, move that to start, and it kind of looks like the text is being followed by this jet trail. So these are just a few examples. This is a lot of fun, and as I'd mentioned, adding these texts on paths and animate them can give your website a nice little extra flair. And that's about it. As you can see, there's a lot you can do with SVGs and text paths. So again, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.